And a hello and welcome to the Dirge of Mourning. I am your host Andrew, alongside Terry. And in today's episode, we're going to take a look at an album by Rise to the Sky, called Death Will Not Keep Us Apart. Just like last time, our initial impressions kind of go along like this. It was you, Terry, that introduced me to said band. All the way back to just before this album, their first official album, was released back in 2020. And if memory serves me right, you had stumbled across it due to a promotion or something that you seen on Bandcamp, or a recommendation?
I'm honestly not sure. I don't remember. But I did see it somewhere, and I listened to something, and I said, hey, this is interesting, and I sent it to you, and you also liked it.
I do recall the first initial stuff on Bandcamp was mostly instrumental.
Yeah, there's quite a few instrumentals by this band interspersed with, songs with lyrical songs.
Well, with that said, this is their first album, and this album has a theme or a story to it.
Yeah, it sure does.
Terry, would you like to read what that story is for us, please?
Okay. Yeah, it's a little bit different than other albums that we've done and songs that we've done, because the author is the band. So here we go. In a post-apocalyptic world not long away from now, a couple run away from death, which takes the form of many creatures wandering this devastated world. They run around to many places trying to avoid death until they find a high cliff where they would be safe. Unfortunately, only he can make it up, while she is not able to climb up, facing certain death in the open land below the cliff. Upon this dilemma, he looks down the cliff towards his beloved one and chooses to descend only to face death along her, hoping for eternal life together after they die. This was my dream, and it is the inspiration for the album you are about to hear. So that's kind of heavy.
It is, and I'm intrigued just by that description alone to dive into this album. So,
right.
Without any further ado, we start with a nice synthesized sound as the main riff comes in, like a gentle explosion. That it caught me off guard with that sort of unique sound with the synthesizers, and the death growls as well were on point right off the bat. There wasn't too much in terms of dynamic arrangement. It was all very structured simplistically, but it gave this opening track something foreboding. Like I said, the simplistic structure was very, very needed in this, especially when you have that sort of mix of the funeral doom and death doom being very prominent in this. And the guitar solos, the drumming, the song itself is a journey, oddly enough. You could really see that and hear it. And for the song title,
From the Distance.
From the Distance.
Yeah.
I kind of felt that in the music.
Yeah. So, I mean, I wrote some of the same words down, things sort of having to do with the music about, it's a very regular rhythm, it's very melodic. It just kind of draws you in. It's not what I would consider grandiose or magnificent or even traditional funeral doom, but it, for some reason, pulls you into the story.
This is, again, a nice jumping off point for what the story will unfold, I think.
I think that's what it's meant to be.
Yes. Right off the bat, the synthesizing atmosphere creeps in. And then you get that loud bang of the music. Again, very similar to how we started the first track, but more to it.
I wrote darker.
Yes, absolutely. There's a much darker, creepier vibe here. And it just sort of comes out of nowhere with it. And I kind of like it. Plus, we also hear a little bit of that funeral doom feeling in here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Again, the death growls on point as usual.
Oh, yeah. I mean, throughout, his death growls are really good.
Oh,
and
magnificent.
You can pretty much understand. You know, you might need to look at the lyrics to get the whole gist, but they're fairly understandable.
Absolutely. Comes in, perfectly timed with his vocals. The song continues with a nice balance of deep sounds, rich doomy goodness, and just an overall satisfying feeling of those sounds coming together. The great addition here is we get that slowed down synthesized sound again, more gloomy atmosphere builds, again harkening back to that funeral doom element slowly creeping in here.
Yeah.
As the song clearly is influenced by some of those, pieces.
Oh, definitely. This one definitely.
Starts off with a little bit different in its approach. A good mix of doomy metal and that synthesizing, solo-y type stuff. Again, very close to being that traditional funeral doom sort of mixture as it begins to bring in the excellently placed sense of the impending doom that, this music and this album is trying to portray, as if, death is on the horizon here.
Well, absolutely. So the thing I liked about the music, I'm just gonna let you know. I know your forte is evaluating all the music. However, I really liked the drums, and I really liked the sort of choral voice background.
Yes, his clean singing in this is breathtaking. He really captures that classic style of doom singing.
Yeah, there was a lot of choral going on. It's subtle though.
Yeah.
You have to listen for it.
Yeah, it's like he's layered the vocals in such a manner that creates this really cool atmosphere with it.
Right.
Which again brings in those two balances of the funeral doom and death doom stylings that are going on here.
Which is very interesting.
It is, especially with, again, we are entering that realm more so of the funeral doom and leaving behind some of that death doom elements as we go along here. And I'll point them out as we get there. The longest track on the album.
I love this track.
Oh, it's fucking phenomenal.
Ooh.
On this album, there is a sense of urgency. But with this particular track, we are introduced to something darker and perhaps a lot more depressing.
This track, there's a few things I'd like to say at this point, and I'll probably reiterate them again. It's very different from the other track, that's one. The other thing is the sound is much more funeral doom. And the other thing I wrote, which has to do with encompassing the whole song, lyrics and music and everything, a masterpiece. I actually wrote a masterpiece. But I'll explain why I think that later. You say your stuff now.
I'm not going to argue with the points you've just made because they're going to mirror some of the stuff that I'm about to say here. The opening vocals, perfect. And holy shit, the full effect of the funeral doom influence is in full swing here.
Yep.
We are getting an opening that is classic. in its own right. I don't have really much to say other than that, because
Well,
fuck me, just go and listen to the damn song.
I did notice that this starts, or somewhere toward the beginning, has piano, which is different, and wind. Now, I don't know if it's just tracks of wind sounds, but it's different. It's really cool.
I'm not going to go on too long with this one, because, I just want people to go and listen to this track.
Yeah, this one.
Sit back.
This one is definitely my favorite on the whole album, and
I think it is.
It actually makes the whole album. It really does.
I agree wholeheartedly. A much more somber opening in its tones.
Mm-hmm.
This track is even more of a Funeral Doom influenced song. Again, we are slowly seeing this dynamic shift of it starting off as a Death Doom record that had sprinkles of Funeral Doom, but now we're starting to see that Funeral Doom side take over.
Right.
It isn't quite there just yet, but we are getting those pieces even more to this puzzle. And it's a much deeper sound in the death growls.
Yeah.
And I just absolutely love that about it. Also, the clean vocals.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yep. I wrote that
amazing.
Down. Nice clean voice in there. Exactly.
I don't know who his vocal coach is, but that motherfucker must be making bank right about now.
Yeah. Some people just have natural talent in this.
Which is what I believe this actually is.
Yeah.
This guy's natural ability to just fill out these bangers is amazing. Sad, synthesized emotion starts this one off.
Which is perfect for the meaning of the song.
Absolutely. And yet again, we are very, very close. We're on the cusp of having that full embodiment of Funeral Doom reaching out here.
Mm-hmm.
The musical mixtures of the death growl and the clean vocals, just like in the previous songs, captures a mood that I can only describe as the emotions of both of these starstruck lovers.
Right.
And
there is something I'd like to say about all the songs too. Something to do with this particular band. There's either a key or something he's using that has an uplifting sound to it.
Yes,
like a little lighter or higher or something than most Funeral Doom bands use.
Yes, I was going to touch on this a little bit later, but I'll just give a quick thought on it. There's an optimism here.
Yes.
And we'll touch on that shortly.
Okay.
The Funeral Doom intro to this song is holy shit. No other words can describe. I know I've actually said that more than one occasion. Holy shit. I was not expecting it to come out the way it did. The musical elements in just these 7 songs alone are enough for an immediate hand over the album now. Because what we get here is slow parts that shed the Death Doom atmosphere. Not to say that it's completely gone, but again, we are even more so pushing that Funeral Doom element into this one, and I love it for that.
Well,
from start to end, brilliant.
I even wrote down, I'm not so much of a musical person, but I did wrote down the slow tempo was very noticeable, and there are some blast beats used for emphasis.
Yes.
So you've got that. It's not like in your face, but it's there.
Yeah, the subtlety of it is actually what makes it beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I for once I'm like, hey, I kind of like that. Like, I'm not a fan of blast beats. I'm not a fan of that. But it can be used properly for emphasis and to define songs. So
I think that's what Funeral Doom does best with the blast beats is it uses them to emphasize, like, that crescendo type idea.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like, when you listen to, like, you know, an actual piece of dirge music, you start off with the slow, somber elements, and then it builds up to this, like, climax, and then it brings it right back down.
The band Funeral does that. Is it the band Funeral that does that? Yeah. Okay.
There are others as well, but
sure. It came to my head.
Yeah. What we have here is Funeral Doom.
We have Funeral Doom. Ta-da-da!
With, again, the very small sprinklings of that Death Doomy sound. But it's not in your face this time.
Right.
The Death Doom is subtle here. The Funeral Doom is on full display. So we have what I would like to classify as a perfect classic mixture of both styles.
Interesting. Okay.
Throughout this album. They get time to shine.
Yeah.
In each song.
Yeah.
And if you just go and listen to it, you will completely understand what it is that I'm saying.
I just liked the sweet, uplifting voice and the uplifting sound of that, so...
The Death Doom tones are way less. They are almost non-existent in this track. And I guess it's fitting because it is the last track. So we are almost gifted a full-on Funeral Doom song in under 4 minutes.
Yeah, it's short. Most of these songs are shorter than your average Funeral Doom songs.
Absolutely.
But there's many of them.
Yes. And I had to ask myself the question, is that even possible? Well, Rise to the Sky says, fuck it, and enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I fucking agree.
The sound is overall very, very cohesive for the whole album, yes.
Overall thoughts, feelings, grievances, or unusual thoughts for the musical elements that we've just experienced?
For the musical elements, I would say the thing that's different to my ear is there is an uplifting quality to the melodic structure. So something is different in there, and sometimes it comes through in the guitar, sometimes other portions. I really enjoy that because it's unexpected. Another thing that I may have sort of touched on with you, not here, is the fact that there's a tiny little creeping in of a folky sort of sound. Like there's something that sends my mind back to olden days.
Okay. I guess that's due to the whole post-apocalyptic type idea of the theme of the album. There's that hint of the yearning to go back.
It could even have to do with a person's upbringing, where they're from, or the sounds that they've heard all their life.
Could be.
So there may be that creeping in. But anyways...
I would have to say that I'm just going to keep this short and sweet because I don't feel there's anything else needed to be said about it other than this. A true masterclass in blending both Death Doom and Funeral Doom.
Yeah, I would agree with that. If
people want to understand how to make that type of album, this is where to start.
Yeah, a great example. The lyrics are pretty straightforward. It's pretty simplistic. One is dead, one is not. Waiting to see someone again. It also could simply be a wishing of what could happen. Like a sort of this would be great if this happens together like that.
I would agree with that.
You know, nothing really, mind-blowing here. It's a pretty straightforward thought that I think maybe probably lots of people have had this thought, especially if they're
there's a
deep relationship, deep whatever,
See, it's that element that I was going to sort of touch on there is the fact that it's simplistic in its message is actually its strength. Because, again,
I can see that.
We've got my favourite line here from the song. On the distance I wait, under this ground, far away. Like, you don't need to expand on that any more than that one little caption to understand the emotion here.
Right.
And a great way to introduce people to the overall idea here for this opening track, and just overall usage of his vocals in this one by saying these types of words, is a great sort of, oddly enough, a great kind of sing-along type, song.
It is in a way, because just the way it's set up.
Mm-hmm. Like, you could follow the lyrics, you don't have to remember great big chunks.
Right.
It's just easy to flow, and it's kind of catchy like that as you read it. You could get the flow of its like simplistic poetry.
Okay.
Pain and Blood. That's an interesting title.
Right. And I'm thinking, how on earth does this go with the whole little blurb about what it's about? Mm-hmm. Well, okay. So what I think this means in the lyric is that bearing of pain, like you're having pain in life, like you do have pain in life. I mean, life is full of pain, and it sort of gives us we survive it, right? We survive a lot of pain. Everyone
absolutely
does. Humans survive a lot.
That's what brings me to the sort of paragraph that I found to be very inspirational in that sense of how to survive this sort of ordeal, at least mentally. Whether you could do it physically is another question, but there is this idea of, you have to want to survive this thing that's happening. So the line goes something along the lines of like this. To survive, you'll leave the past behind, and you'll face much pain and loss in this life. If you need to understand, to survive, you'll face much loss. Right.
So what I think it's talking about here is understanding how life and death work. We can't just go blindly through life, oh yeah, everything's great, nothing's ever going to touch me. There are many people that do that, and it just...
Right, if you think that you're untouchable, then when this particular pain or loss comes for you, or in this case, the metaphorical death, who is, chasing after these characters,
so
it's going to come and bite you in the ass.
Yeah, I mean, I actually liked the lyrics a lot. I think this is an important point to make in the story and in basically just life.
Yeah.
Let's make this point. We fear. We have loss. We have to be able to leave the past and move on. We have to be able to do that. And I think that's kind of what it's talking about, except, of course, in this case, facing death.
Right.
But we all face other trials and tribulations in our lives.
Not just that, though.
It could be used, for that.
Right, but there's also another thing that just sort of came to mind. Mm-hmm. There's also maturity about this.
Oh, definitely.
Like, definitely. You rise up to the occasion with an understanding of, I have to deal with this.
Yeah. I mean, you could kind of see how, say, ancient warriors would understand this.
Absolutely.
I'm going to go into war and I'm probably going to come back with no arms and one leg, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to face it. And, we all face things, whether it be going to the dentist and we hate that, or speaking in public and we hate that.
There's levels to this.
Yeah.
And I think it's great storytelling because it, again, makes you start to think about all the other possibilities of how these types of lyrics fit into our everyday life.
The very last two lines. In the path, you'll face much loss. You'll survive with pain and blood. You're gonna give your blood. You're gonna have pain. That's what
it's that same old expression, you know, I gave everything, blood, sweat and tears, to do X, Y, and Z.
So that was a good one.
Oh, it absolutely is. Together in the grave.
Once again, I felt that, first of all, very short lyrics, really easy to get through. Really straightforward. Basically, desiring to die or face death together. Also, there is implied in here a fear of being alone or dying alone. Because
again, it touches on those two fears and wants in our brain when we have a relationship. We do not want to lose this person due to unfortunate circumstances.
Right, exactly.
Because then it brings us into this fear of being completely alone. So we go through these emotions of, if you die, I'll die with you.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm going to be alone, then I still want to be with you even if we're in the fucking ground. Because we have this, we have this sort of romanticized idea of romance, oddly enough, where we write fiction or tell true stories about our experiences, and in this case, it touches on those, you know, very rudimentary ideas of, you don't get to go unless I'm going with you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Almost like a suicide pact in that sense.
And in a way, I don't think it's meant to be exactly as it states it. I think it's a thought.
It simply is just that fleeting thought.
Right. So we will leave this place together in the grave. No sorrow, no pain, together in the grave. It's a thinking of that. Yeah, that's what I want. You know, it's not that it's actually happening. It's the thought process. At least not at this point in the story, I don't think. Because I do believe that this is like the idea of them contemplating these ideas of, I don't want this person to go. That scares the living shit out of me. Well, the whole Cliff story could just be a complete metaphor for someone dying in a normal fashion, like from cancer or heart disease or something. I have wondered that, and I wanted to touch upon that because on a later song. I mean, yeah. So, anyways, that's that little song there. Yeah, fantastic lyrics. When death comes. Yes. Our holy shit. Favorite song on the album. I think both of us agree with that. Aye. I mean, once again, masterpiece. Very different. Weird sort of sounds coming in. Not weird, but more Funeral Doomy and more recognizable as Funeral Doomy. And you also have spoken word in here. A lady speaking in a different language, and I never did translate those words. But anyways, spoken word. You have clean singing. You have just a wonderful mantra going on. Right, and that whole concept complements the lyric. Well, yes, and okay, so basically the album is called Death Will Not Keep Us Apart. This is the song that uses those words over and over again. It's like a pensive mantra. It's, death will not keep us apart. Death will not keep us apart. Death will not, it's over and over again. So it's almost like a spell that you're saying to yourself so it doesn't affect you. Right. And in that sense, it's something that you'll see like a lot of sports teams do. They'll chant to themselves to hype themselves up and, all that kind of stuff. Again, the overall take that I get from this is one of the characters, or if not both characters, are telling each other, we're going to make it. We'll get through this hurdle and we'll see another day. And here's why I think that is because of this particular piece. One of my favourite parts as well. Do not think of me. Give me some peace to your tears. This place has no time. It's a cold and dark land. Wait for me. I'll return someday. What I get from that is you might be going through this huge tragedy. Let me build up that energy or confidence
to make the journey to you so we can have a better life.
Right. So, up at the top, there's a little one that I'd like to mention, which sort of says the same thing. Night will fall on you and I. Wait for me. I will return. And if I go, you'll be there with me. So, yeah, it's like a pact, one to another. This is what we're going to do. That's what I'm getting from it, anyway.
So, like you sort of mentioned a minute or two ago, with this idea of, is everything a metaphor? I believe it is, and here's why. We have this concept of these two lovers climbing a mountain. So, what in normal terms, that metaphor is, I had to climb this hurdle in order to, achieve something. So when you look at this couple, it's almost as if they're going through some turmoil in their relationship. Hence the idea that death is coming for them.
Yeah.
That could split them apart. When one of them reaches the top of the mountain, i.e. the guy in this case had reached the top.
Yeah, in the story. Right.
Yeah. He had to look back down to see what he had lost on his journey to being what he felt was necessary. And that's what drove this wedge between them. So they're being driven apart. And that's what I think the metaphor of death is.
Right. There's definitely a parting. And my favorite part of, actually, I think the line you read, I love this. Perfect bliss will come with death.
Right.
I just think that's just beautiful.
Oh, it absolutely is.
It's a really pretty one. So, the way I see this one actually reminded me a lot of Hell Light songs.
Yeah, I did have a sort of Hell Light-y type moment while reading this. I'm like...
Yeah. What I get, the general meaning, the theme, I think, is death as being a part of the universe.
Yes.
Because we're talking about the entire universe, the moon, the stars, high up above. We will rise above the sky. We'll move above, rise above, moving high up above. You know, when you're talking, travel beyond the stars, travel. When you're talking like that, you're are thinking outside of...
Outside, yeah.
Outside of the home, the village, the world. You're looking at the universe, and
there's
you're feeling
contemplation.
A part of it. Every time that when I used to do this when I was a little young girl, if I'd start thinking about stuff like this, I would say that it would blow my mind.
Right.
This is or say, this is making my brain think weird. Because...
No, I understand, because again, you're looking at this and you're having to contemplate the fact that you are insignificant.
Yes.
In the grand scheme of things.
Well, all you have to do, I used to do it a lot too when I was a young girl. All you have to do is watch ants on the ground and you begin to understand how very insignificant every single thing is, every single person, every single animal, how minute it is. But yet, on the flip side of that, it all works together.
Right,
so,
and there's a beauty in it.
Yeah, well, definitely.
And I think that also has that element, again, of like how we stated in the musical sense, there was this uplifting, almost optimism in it.
Right.
I think there is the optimism in this.
Oh, for sure. I mean...
Because you're looking at everything on this grand scale of, okay, you may be going through absolute heartache.
Right, or agony or whatever.
Or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But it can be overcome because look at what all else is going on. When we see death's handiwork, we do want to look to the stars for answers. And it is within that idea that we do sometimes, depending on how you wish to interpret it, whether it be through religion or new agey type stuff or just simply your own thoughts. The idea of looking to the stars for answers is something that we have done for decades. Our ancestors would do the same.
Yeah, there are ancient cultures that their entire religions are based on, the Dogon with Sirius B and all that. They're based on that. That's
Exactly.
their entire mythology, is the stars.
When we take those ideas and we put it into a more modern understanding, this is the core of that emotion. And I think it also touches on that little folky element that you heard. And going back to, again, a part of life where it was simple. It was understandable to a degree. Whereas, again, within the story, we're past all that. Everything's gone to shit. We are looking for something to save us. Something saves us?
Something that you can cling on to. Right,
so the thing that saves us is hope. So again, there's that small little bit of optimism in the idea of, we're all fucked. But I have hope that we can maybe see tomorrow.
Which makes it a nice little great song.
Absolutely. Can I simply just read my favorite part?
Yeah.
Because, I don't know, but it kind of blew my fucking expectations out of the water of how awesome this shit is.
Okay, go ahead.
When you are on the edge, you'll see your fate below. You'll need to make a choice, to die or live alone. This life won't end with me on top alone. This is the combination of all the other songs rolled into one. This is the fear of dying alone.
Okay. This song has a dichotomy to it. So what you have, I agree with you, but what you have is, and it says it right there, I'll lift you up and I'll join you down. So that's a dichotomy. So what's going on here? We've got, I'll lift you up, meaning I'm going to help you get through this.
Yeah, I'll make sure that you're elevated enough in either your emotions or whatever it is that you need. Basically, I will build you up to be the person you wish to be.
But I'll join you down. In other words, no matter what's going on, I'm going to be there, right?
So basically, when you come tearing down, I'll be there at the bottom waiting for you, and we'll climb back up.
And the title has a lot to do with what, once again, it's kind of like a pact, the final choice. This is something we're choosing. And I get the feeling that he is choosing more so than her, or however it goes.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at.
Choosing more strongly, this is what's going to happen. This is how we want it. But yet, we'll choose, the very last line, we'll choose to end this life together in the grave. Is this when, people profess their love to each other and, till the end? Is this what's really going on? Like, maybe nobody's falling off cliffs. Maybe nobody's dying.
Well,
maybe
again,
this is just the metaphor for, look, love you so much that no matter what, even after death, even in death and following death, that's going to remain. Like, that thing is going to remain.
The way that I sort of looked at that particular part of the song, I almost seen it as almost similar to, like, marriage vows.
Yeah, I kind of, but, in that...
Obviously on a much more deeper, stronger, emotional bond.
Till death do us part. Well,
this saying, to hell with that, we'll go even in death, we'll be together.
Because I can't face death without you. That's really what it's all saying.
Yes, I 100% agree with that. I think that, again, we're onto something here that is slowly getting heavier and heavier in terms of emotion.
Kind of crazy, isn't it? We thought, it's this little album about people falling off cliffs. No, that's not really what's going on. Nobody's falling off cliffs, just so our listeners understand.
Yeah.
We don't want people falling off cliffs.
No, don't go rock climbing without the proper equipment, folks.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Even in love, wear protection.
Fantastic title. So as we were kind of joking earlier, does not mean man, woman, or or partners or whatever standing there, and there's a cloaked
Grim Reaper. Well, I did make the joke earlier, me, you, and the devil makes 3, so, if you want to take it in that direction, there is that kind of idea. But I don't think it is exactly like, that whole point. It's much deeper.
It's about strength. It's how a strong will
yes
is in description here anyways. Can or may, your strong will may overcome death. So it even says it. When death comes, we'll hold on, we'll be strong. We'll be strong. Strength is being focused on in this song and reiterated. So that's very important here. The strength.
So the other part that I wanted to sort of go on here, I'm just double checking. Yes. So just like in track 4, we have a familiar phrase coming back again. And I'll read the small little part here. If I go, I'll be forever here. If you go, I'll wait forever here. Death will not keep us apart. So in other words, it's that pact mentality again. It's that strong will to survive the turmoil that they're going through. Yeah. This is almost, again, a couple having a problem within their relationship, and they're trying to say to each other that they'll get through it. It doesn't matter what the circumstances are, they'll figure it out, and they'll see tomorrow somehow. There will be a tomorrow.
Well, yes, and this is kind of how life goes. You hit these bumps along the way, and things change, but, you do find a way. Always is a way to overcome things. So
Absolutely.
let's take the word death away and just say shit, stuff, and things. So shit, stuff, and things are not going to keep us apart.
Exactly.
When crap comes, we're going to be strong. We'll hold on.
Absolutely.
So, that's kind of what that's kind of what.
Yeah, it is what it is saying. I do believe that. Yeah. I'm just going to quickly read the lines that stood out to me, and then you can give us the lowdown.
Okay, go ahead.
We are not mourning. Try to lead us into the night. We are not mourning. Try to lead us in the night.
So, we are not mourning. What's that say? We are not mourning equals not grief and not sadness. So if we are not mourning, we are not experiencing all of that misery. So it's an absence of mourning. So it's actually, and being done in a sweet, uplifting voice, it's actually full of hope.
Right.
Which is also why the music has that lilting hope to it throughout. It's really good.
It is.
I mean, when you break everything down, and I think this is something that a lot of people do not do when they get an album of any genre, any kind. Just listen to the music is not all there is. Please read, understand, see what's really going on. I mean, it could be a simple song or it could be a complex one.
This is, again, why I will continue to say it until I am probably dead in the ground myself. Funeral Doom, in and of itself, is one that has multitudes of layers. It's not just the music, it's not just the words, it's not just the way it's like spoken or song or whatever. All of these things come into one huge, epic experience that I don't think you could find anywhere else.
This is why I have said it's almost for me like a theatrical experience, because you get pictures in your head, you're listening to these sounds and music and various emotions, the words, and when you do that, it brings a richness that I'm not finding lots of genres, and I love music, but to me, this is the most, as you said, it has all these layers to it, all these things that just come together. The lyrics are very, very simplistic, play over and over. So what I'll do, I'll just read one of the paragraphs to get us kind of going here. We're Dancing in the Night. Oh, we're dancing in the night. Oh, we're dancing in the night. And then there's some other things that say only you and I, and we're dancing in the dark, and when you leave tonight, we'll dance in the dark. Only you and I will dance in the dark. So it's over and over again.
It's this idea, I think, that when you see the darkness in your life, take a hold of it and dance with it. Embrace the fact that these things are going on, because you can overcome them if you are strong enough to say to yourself, I can do it.
And the other thing about this, it's actually kind of romantic.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm getting the feeling that it's just the two of us. Like, just the two of us. And
yeah.
You know, very, I know couples like this who are so into each other that the entire world, nothing else.
Nothing else matters in that sense.
Nothing or no one else. It's like they're so embracing. I'm not sure that's really the way to lead your life, but if it works for them and that's the way they are.
Hey, if it works, go for it, you know?
You know, I've known older couples and younger couples that do this. So it excludes the rest of the world, excludes everyone else, and it's just the two. I think it's actually beautiful.
It is. And that's what's awesome about this album. But we'll get to that in a moment. Artwork. It gets across the entire story, right? The album cover is perfect for this particular story.
Absolutely.
Obviously, guys, what you're seeing is just this total annihilation of everything.
Apocalyptic world.
With two lovers on top of a hill.
Right.
Or a mountain.
Stars, mountains, trees, it looks like. The darkness that looks like burnt buildings. You know.
Yes, everything is just all completely destroyed.
Yes. And there stand the couple.
Yep. So what would you rate this album cover then?
9.5.
I 100% agree. It definitely is.
Colors are nice. Yeah, it gets the point across. It's beautiful. It's well done. Masterfully painted by, I believe...
Go-Go Malone.
Go-Go Malone did it, yeah. And, you know, we're kind of used to her style too, so...
Yeah, and just a fantastic artist all round.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Now it gets to the painful part.
Yeah, what's that?
How do you score this motherfucker?
Oh, boy.
After everything we've just been through, after the journey that this album has taken us on, 9.8.
Yeah, I mean, I'm leaving that little squidge because I agree with you on that. It's for a darn first album, and the lyrics and the ideas and the music, yeah.
There is a small little bit of room for improvement, but by God, if this is what you're going to produce right off the fucking gate, keep going. Yeah. Just keep fucking going.
Well, that's why I ran out and bought a bunch of his stuff first thing, because I was like, yeah.
Hell yeah. Final thoughts.
Oh, wow. So, when I first started to listen, I had a totally different concept than the ending concept of what I know this to be now. And I think it's beautifully done. Really a joy to listen to. Especially song number 4, When Death Comes. Let's just say masterpiece, 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 okay?
All of the songs come together perfectly. The story that it tells, both musically and lyrically, are, again, a masterclass in blending the two genres of death doom and funeral doom together. I thoroughly enjoyed this format of storytelling. My only huge thing I want to say to people is go and buy the fucking album.
Yes, I agree. Well, yeah, I have this on, actually it was a dual album.
Yeah, you
But I
got
did
the
get
dual
the
album
cover.
digipack, yeah.
Yeah, I got the artwork on it. So beautiful and lovely. Just lovely.
Well, that's going to do it from us mourners. Until next time, remember, every day is a funeral.